My name is Diana Foster, and I'm 55 years old. Last Sunday, during what was supposed to be a nice family dinner at my house, my 3 adult children told me something that broke my heart into pieces. "Mom, we need to talk," my oldest daughter Natasha said, setting down her fork. She was 32, a successful lawyer, and she had that serious look on her face that she used in courtrooms. I looked around the table at my other 2 children. My son Malcolm was 29, working in tech and making good money. My youngest daughter Simone was 26, just promoted to marketing manager at her company. They were all looking at me with the same expression, determined, united, like they'd planned this. "What's wrong?" I asked, worry creeping into my voice. "Nothing's wrong," Malcolm said. "We just think it's time we had an honest conversation about our relationship." "Our relationship," I repeated, confused. Natasha took a deep breath. "Mom, we love you, but we're adults now. We have our own lives, our own careers, our own money, and we think you need to understand that we don't need you the way we used to." I felt like I'd been slapped. "What do you mean?" "We mean we're financially independent," Malcolm explained. "We're successful. We've made it on our own. And honestly, Mom, some of the things you do, the constant calling, the unsolicited advice, the guilt trips when we can't come to dinner, it's too much." "We're not children anymore," Simone added. "We can take care of ourselves. We don't need you managing our lives." I stared at them, unable to process what I was hearing. "I'm not managing your lives. I'm being your mother." "That's the problem," Natasha said. "You're still treating us like we're kids, but we're not. We're grown adults who have achieved success without your help, and we need you to respect that." "Without my help?" I asked, my voice rising. "Is that what you think, that you got where you are without my help?" "That's exactly what we're saying," Malcolm said. "Look, Mom, we appreciate everything you did when we were kids, but we're not kids anymore. We built our own careers. We make our own money. We don't need you taking care of us." I felt anger rising in my chest, mixing with hurt and disbelief. "So this is what this is about? You're all so successful now that you don't need your mother anymore." "We're just being honest," Natasha said. "We thought you'd appreciate honesty." "Appreciate it?" I said, standing up from the table. "You just told me that I'm not needed in your lives. How exactly am I supposed to appreciate that?" "Mom, don't be dramatic," Simone started. "Dramatic?" I interrupted. "My 3 children just told me they don't need me anymore, and you think I'm being dramatic." "We didn't say we don't need you at all," Malcolm said. "We just said we don't need you the way we used to. We're independent now, self-sufficient." "Fine," I said, my voice cold. "If you're so independent and self-sufficient, then I guess you won't need my help with anything anymore." "That's kind of the point we're making," Natasha said. "We don't." I looked at my 3 children, the 3 people I'd sacrificed everything for, the 3 people I'd raised alone after their father died, the 3 people I'd worked 2 jobs to put through college, and I made a decision. "Okay," I said calmly. "If you don't need me, then you don't need me. From now on, you're on your own, completely on your own." "What does that mean?" Simone asked, looking uncertain for the first time. "It means exactly what you said you wanted," I said. "You're adults, you're independent, you're self-sufficient, so from now on you can be all those things without any help from me, at all." "Mom, you're overreacting," Malcolm started. "No," I interrupted. "I'm respecting your wishes. You said you don't need me, so I'm going to let you prove it." I walked out of my dining room, leaving my 3 children sitting at the table looking confused. They had no idea what they'd just done. They had no idea how much I'd been doing for them behind the scenes. They had no idea how much they actually still needed me. But they were about to find out. Because when my own children told me they didn't need me anymore, I decided to let them learn the hard way just how wrong they were. Before we continue this story, if you're hooked and want to see what happens when Diana stops helping her ungrateful children, smash that subscribe button. Hit the like if you think these kids are about to learn a big lesson. Turn on an notifications bell so you don't miss what happens next. And comment below telling me where you're watching from. Are you in the United States? Canada? United Kingdom? Let me know, I want to see who's with me on this journey. Now let's get back to the story. To understand why that dinner hurt so much, you need to understand my story. You need to know about the sacrifices I made and the life I lived to give my children the opportunities they now take for granted. 27 years ago, when Natasha was 5, Malcolm was 2, and Simone was just a baby, my husband Robert died in a construction accident. He fell from scaffolding at a job site and died instantly. I was 28 years old with 3 small children and no life insurance. Robert and I had been planning to get life insurance, but we kept putting it off because we were young and money was tight. After Robert died, I was alone. My parents had both passed away years earlier. Robert's parents blamed me for his death. They said if I hadn't pushed him to work so much overtime, he wouldn't have been tired and wouldn't have fallen. They cut off contact with me and the kids. So it was just me and 3 bobbies, and I had to figure out how to survive. I had a high school diploma and had been working part-time as a receptionist before Robert died. That job didn't pay enough to support 3 children, so I did what I had to do. I worked constantly. I got a full-time job as an administrative assistant during the day. Then I got a second job working nights at a grocery store. Then I got a weekend job cleaning offices. For years, I worked 3 jobs. I slept 4 or 5 hours a night. I rarely saw my children awake because I was always working. But I made sure they had what they needed. They had food. They had clothes. They had a roof over their heads. They had everything except time with their mother because I was too busy working to give them that time. When Natasha graduated high school 17 years ago, she got into a good university. But she didn't get enough financial aid to cover everything. She needed $15,000 per year that we didn't have. "I'll just go to community college," Natasha said. "It's cheaper." "No," I told her. "You worked hard for this. You're going to that university." "But Mom, we can't afford it," Natasha protested. "I'll figure it out," I said. And I did figure it out. I took out loans. I worked extra hours. I cut expenses everywhere I could. For 4 years, I sent Natasha $15,000 per year, $60,000 total, to help with her college expenses. It meant I couldn't save for retirement. It meant I lived in a tiny apartment. It meant I drove a car that was 15 years old and constantly breaking down. But Natasha graduated from that university with a degree that helped her get into law school. And when she got into law school, she needed even more money. "Mom, law school is expensive," Natasha said. "I'm going to take out loans." "How much in loans?" I asked. "Probably $150,000, she admitted. I couldn't let her start her career with that much debt. So I took out a second mortgage on the small house I'd finally managed to buy, and I gave her $50,000 to help with law school. Between undergraduate and law school, I gave Natasha $110,000, more than I'd ever made in 2 years of working 3 jobs. But she graduated with minimal debt, got a good job at a law firm, and started making 6 figures within a few years. 5 years after Natasha graduated from law school, my son Malcolm came to me with an idea. "Mom, I want to start a tech company," Malcolm said. "I have this idea for an app that I think could be really successful, but I need startup capital." "How much?" I asked. $30,000, Malcolm said. "I know it's a lot, but Mom, I really believe in this idea. If you could lend me the money, I promise I'll pay you back as soon as the company is profitable." I didn't have $30,000, but Malcolm was my son, and he believed in his dream. So I took out another loan against my house, and I gave Malcolm $30,000 for his startup. His first company failed. He lost all the money. 2 years later, he came to me again. "Mom, I learned from my mistakes," Malcolm said. "I have a better idea now, a better plan, but I need $25,000 to get it off the ground." "Malcolm, you haven't paid me back from the first loan," I reminded him. "I know," he said, "but this time will be different, I promise. And when this company succeeds, I'll pay you back everything, with interest." I didn't have $25,000 either, but I took out a personal loan, and I gave Malcolm the money. His second company succeeded. Within 3 years, he sold it for a good profit. He was making excellent money working for a tech company and doing consulting on the side. He never paid me back. When I mentioned it once, he said, "Mom, that wasn't a loan. That was an investment in your son. Parents invest in their children." So I dropped it, because he was right. Parents do invest in their children, even when it costs them everything. Between Malcolm's 2 startups, I gave him $55,000. 3 years ago, my youngest daughter, Simone, got engaged to a man named Derek. They were young. She was 23 and he was 25, but they were in love. "Mom, I want to have a nice wedding," Simone said. "Nothing crazy expensive, but I want it to be special." "How much?" I asked, already knowing this conversation would cost me money. "Derek and I have saved $10,000, Simone said. "But we want the wedding to cost about $30,000. Can you help with the other $20,000? "Simone, that's a lot of money," I said. "I know," Simone said. "But Mom, this is my wedding. It's once in a lifetime. Derek's parents are contributing $10,000. I just need you to match that." I didn't want to disappoint my daughter on her wedding day, so I took out yet another personal loan, and I gave Simone $20,000 for her wedding. The wedding was beautiful. Expensive flowers, expensive venue, expensive food, expensive everything. Simone looked like a princess. 6 months later, Simone and Derek got divorced. The marriage lasted less than a year. "These things happen," Simone said when she told me. "At least we tried." At least we tried, with $20,000 of my money that I was still paying off. But the money I gave my children, $110,000 to Natasha, $55,000 to Malcolm, $20,000 to Simone, totaling $185,000, wasn't even the whole story. There were all the other ways I helped them that they didn't know about. When Natasha bought her first house 3 years ago, she asked me to co-sign her mortgage because she didn't have enough credit history. I co-signed. That meant if she didn't pay, I would be responsible. But she didn't think about that. She just needed my signature. When Malcolm's startup was struggling to get clients 2 years ago, I used my connections from my 3 decades of working various jobs to introduce him to potential customers. 3 of those introductions became his biggest clients. He thought he got those clients on his own. He didn't know I'd made calls, sent emails, and used favors I'd been saving for years. When Simone got her job at the marketing firm 2 years ago, she was competing against 50 other candidates. She didn't know that I'd called the hearing manager, a woman I'd met through my church volunteer work, and put in a good word for her. The hearing manager later told me that's what made the difference. Simone thought she got the job purely on her own merit. Beyond the money and the connections, there was the ongoing support they took for granted. I still did their taxes every year for free, saving them hundreds of dollars in accountant fees. I still provided free babysitting for Malcolm's 2 kids every week, 40 hours a month of childcare that would have cost him $800 or more. I still cooked Sunday dinners for everyone and sent them home with leftovers, saving them time and grocery money. I still kept them on my cell phone family plan, saving them each $50 per month. I still kept them on my streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, saving them another $40 per month each. I still provided emergency money when they had unexpected expenses, car repairs, medical bills, whatever came up. I was still giving them my time, my money, my resources, my connections, my everything. And they thought they'd achieved everything on their own. They thought they were self-sufficient. They thought they didn't need me anymore. After that Sunday dinner, when my children told me they didn't need me, I spent the rest of the evening thinking. I thought about all the sacrifices I'd made, all the money I'd given, all the ways I'd supported them behind the scenes. And I thought about what they'd said to me. "We don't need you the way we used to. We're financially independent. We've made it on our own. We don't need you managing our lives. Each word had felt like a knife. But as I thought about it, I realized something. They genuinely believed what they were saying. They genuinely thought they'd built their lives without my help. They had no idea how much I'd done for them, how much I was still doing for them. And they'd never appreciate it unless they lost it. So I made a decision. I was going to stop helping them, completely, in every way. I was going to cut them off from all the support I'd been providing, financial, practical, emotional, everything. I was going to let them be the independent, self-sufficient adults they claimed to be. And when they realized how much they'd been relying on me all along, when they came back asking for help, I would teach them a lesson about gratitude and respect. Monday morning, I started implementing my decision. First, I called the cell phone company. "I need to remove 3 lines from my family plan," I said. "Are you sure?" the representative asked. "If you remove them, they'll need to get their own plans and it will cost them more." "I'm sure," I said. "They're adults. They can handle their own phone bills." I removed Natasha, Malcolm, and Simone from my plan. They would each start getting bills for their own phone service, about $70 per month each instead of the $20 per month they'd been paying me as their share of the family plan. Next, I changed all my streaming service passwords and removed their profiles. If they wanted Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, they could pay for their own subscriptions. Then I sent a group text to all 3 of them. "Kids, I've been thinking about what you said yesterday about being independent and self-sufficient. You're absolutely right. You're adults and you should be handling things on your own. So I'm making some changes, effective immediately. 1, you've been removed from my phone plan. You'll need to get your own plans. 2, you've been removed from my streaming services. You'll need to get your own subscriptions. 3, I will no longer be doing your taxes. You'll need to hire accountants or do them yourselves. 4, there will be no more Sunday dinners. You're busy adults with your own lives. You don't need family dinners. 5, Malcolm, I will no longer be available for babysitting. You'll need to find a childcare provider for the kids. 6, I will no longer be available for emergency financial help. You're financially independent, so you can handle your own emergencies. These changes are in respect of what you said about being independent. I'm giving you the space to be the self-sufficient adults you told me you are. Love, Mom." I hit send and put my phone down. Within 5 minutes, my phone started ringing. It was Natasha. I didn't answer. Then Malcolm called. I didn't answer. Then Simone called. I didn't answer. They all started texting. "Natasha, Mom, what is this? Why are you overreacting?" Malcolm, "Mom, this is ridiculous. Can we please talk like adults?" Simone, "Mom, you're being petty. We didn't mean we don't want you in our lives at all." I read the messages and didn't respond. They wanted to be independent. They were about to find out what independence really meant. Tuesday morning, Malcolm called me 6 times in a row. I didn't answer any of them. Finally, he sent a text. "Mom, I need to talk to you about the babysitting. I have a big work presentation today and I need you to watch the kids. Please call me back." I didn't respond. An hour later, he texted again. "Mom, I know you're upset, but I really need help. I can't find a babysitter on such short notice. Please." I still didn't respond. That evening, I got a text from Malcolm's wife, Ashley. "Diana, Malcolm told me what happened at dinner Sunday. I'm sorry the kids upset you, but please don't take it out on the grandchildren. Malcolm had to miss his presentation today because we couldn't find childcare. This is his career we're talking about." I responded to Ashley because she hadn't told me she didn't need me. "Ashley, I'm not taking anything out on the grandchildren. I love them very much. But Malcolm told me he's independent and doesn't need my help. So I'm respecting that. He's an adult with a good income. He can afford to pay for childcare like other adults do. I'm sure you'll figure it out." Ashley didn't respond after that. Wednesday afternoon, Natasha called me. This time I answered. "Mom, you can't be serious about not doing my taxes," Natasha said. "The extension deadline is in 2 weeks. I don't have time to find an accountant. Then you'd better work fast, I said calmly. Mom, this is ridiculous, Natasha said. You're punishing us because we hurt your feelings. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. You told me you're independent adults who don't need me managing your lives. Doing your taxes is managing your life, so I'm stepping back. That's not what we meant, and you know it, Natasha argued. Then what did you mean? I asked. Because you said, and I quote, we don't need you the way we used to. You said you're financially independent and self-sufficient, so be those things. We didn't mean we don't want your help with anything, Natasha said. So you want my help when it's convenient for you, I said. But you also want me to stop managing your lives and treating you like children. You can't have it both ways, Natasha. Either you need me or you don't. You told me you don't, so I'm respecting that. Fine, Natasha said angrily. I'll hire an accountant, and I'll pay the $500 fee. I hope you're happy. I'm not trying to make anyone unhappy, I said. I'm just giving you what you asked for, independence. Natasha hung up on me. Thursday morning, Simone showed up at my house before work. She looked upset. Mom, can I come in? Simone asked. We need to talk. Of course, I said, letting her in. We sat in my living room. Simone looked like she'd been crying. Mom, I got a cell phone bill for $70, Simone said. I can't afford that. I'm barely making ends meet as it is. Then you'll need to find a cheaper plan, I said, or cut expenses somewhere else. Why are you doing this? Simone asked. Why are you being so mean? Mean, I repeated. Simone, I'm not being mean. I'm being respectful of what you told me. We didn't tell you to cut us off completely, Simone protested. You told me you're adults who don't need me managing your lives, I said. Keeping you on my phone plan and paying most of your bill, that was me helping you. You said you don't need my help. I didn't mean financial help, Simone said. I meant we don't need you calling us 5 times a day and giving unsolicited advice. Interesting, I said. So you do need my financial help. You just don't want me involved in your life in other ways. That's not, Simone started, then stopped. Mom, that's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice calm but firm, is that I've spent 27 years sacrificing everything for you 3 kids. I've given you nearly $200,000 of money I didn't have. I've worked myself to exhaustion providing for you. I've connected you with jobs and opportunities. I've helped you in 1,000 ways you don't even know about. And the minute you achieve some success that was built on my sacrifices, you tell me you don't need me anymore. Simone was crying now. We didn't mean it like that. Then how did you mean it? I asked. We felt like you were too involved, Simone said. Like you were trying to control our lives. Give me an example, I said. Give me one example of me trying to control your life. Simone thought for a moment. You always have opinions about who I'm dating. I expressed concern once when you started dating a man who'd been arrested for domestic violence, I said. Was I supposed to stay silent about that? And you always judge my spending, Simone continued. I suggested you save more money when you were living paycheck to paycheck, I said. Is that controlling, or is that a mother who doesn't want to see her daughter struggle? Simone didn't have an answer. I think what happened, I said, is that you 3 got together and decided that I'm the problem, that I'm too involved, too controlling, too much. And instead of having an honest conversation with me about specific issues, you made a blanket statement that you don't need me. Well, congratulations, you got what you wanted. Mom, please, Simone begged. I'm sorry, we were wrong. Can things just go back to normal? No, I said, because I realized something after Sunday dinner. You 3 don't appreciate anything I do for you. You think you achieved everything on your own, so I'm going to let you maintain that independence. And maybe, if you have to actually do everything on your own for a while, you'll learn to appreciate what you had. How long are you going to punish us? Simone asked. I'm not punishing you, I said for what felt like the 100th time. I'm respecting your wishes. You said you don't need me, so prove it. Simone left my house in tears. And I sat alone in my living room, wondering if I was doing the right thing. But I'd made my decision. My children had told me they didn't need me anymore. So I was going to let them learn the hard way, just how wrong they were. If you're hooked on this story and need to see what happens when these ungrateful kids realize what they've lost, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit like if you think Diana is doing the right thing. Turn on notifications so you don't miss and drop a comment telling me, is Diana being too harsh, or are these kids getting what they deserve? Where are you watching from? Let me know. After Simone left my house Thursday morning, I spent the day thinking about whether I was doing the right thing. Part of me felt guilty. These were my children. I'd spent their entire lives putting them first, sacrificing for them, helping them succeed. But another part of me, a part I'd ignored for too long, was angry. Angry that they didn't appreciate what I'd done. Angry that they thought they'd achieved everything on their own. Angry that they'd dismissed me so easily. I decided to stick to my decision. They wanted independence. They were going to get it. Friday afternoon, I received a call from my mortgage company. Not my mortgage, Natasha's mortgage. The one I'd co-signed 3 years ago. Ms. Foster, this is Linda from First National Bank calling about the mortgage for 847 Maple Street, the representative said. That's my daughter's house, I said. Why are you calling me? You're listed as a co-signer on the mortgage, Linda explained. Ms. Natasha Foster is currently 30 days late on her payment. We wanted to reach out to you since you're equally responsible for the loan. My stomach dropped. Natasha is late on her mortgage. Yes, ma'am, Linda said. The payment was due on the 1st of the month. It's now the 15th, and we haven't received it. If we don't receive payment within the next 15 days, the loan will be 60 days past due, which will impact both your credit scores. I'll look into it, I said, hanging up. I immediately called Natasha. She answered on the 3rd ring. Did you forget to pay your mortgage? I asked without preamble. There was a long pause. How did you know about that? The bank called me, I said. I co-signed your mortgage, remember? If you don't pay, I'm responsible. I know, Natasha said quietly. I'm sorry, I've just been tight on money this month. Tight on money, I repeated. You make 6 figures as a lawyer, how are you tight on money? I had some unexpected expenses, Natasha said defensively. My car needed repairs, and I had to pay the accountant to do my taxes since you wouldn't do them, and my cell phone bill went up when you kicked me off your plan. So you're not paying your mortgage because you had to start paying for your own phone and your own taxes? I asked incredulously. It's not just that, Natasha said. I've had a lot of expenses lately. I'll pay the mortgage, I just need a few more days. Natasha, if you don't pay it in the next 15 days, it's going to hurt my credit score, I said. I co-signed as a favor to help you buy a house. You told me you could afford it. I can afford it, Natasha insisted. I just need a little time. Fine, I said. But Natasha, I'm taking my name off this mortgage. I'm going to call the bank and see what I need to do to remove myself as co-signer. You can't do that, Natasha said, panic in her voice. If you remove yourself as co-signer, the bank will reevaluate my loan. They might change my interest rate or call the entire loan due. That sounds like your problem, I said. You told me you're independent and don't need me, so you don't need me co-signing your mortgage either. Mom, please don't do this, Natasha begged. I promise I'll pay the mortgage, I'll pay it today. Good, I said. And then I'm removing myself as co-signer. You're a successful, independent lawyer. You don't need your mother on your mortgage. I hung up and immediately called the bank to find out what I needed to do to remove myself as co-signer. Saturday morning, Malcolm showed up at my house with his 2 kids, Mia, who was 6, and Jordan, who was 4. The kids ran to hug me immediately. Grandma, Mia shouted, we missed you. I missed you too, sweetheart, I said, hugging them both. Then I looked at Malcolm. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you, Malcolm said. Can the kids play in the backyard while we talk? Of course, I said. I set the kids up in the backyard with some toys, then came back inside to face Malcolm. He looked stressed, exhausted. What's going on? I asked. I'm drowning, Mom, Malcolm admitted. This week was a disaster. I missed that big presentation on Tuesday because I couldn't find childcare. My boss was furious. Then I had to leave work early 3 other days this week to pick up the kids because Ashley couldn't get off work. My boss pulled me aside yesterday and told me my work performance has been slipping and I need to get my personal life under control. I'm sorry you're struggling, I said, but what does this have to do with me? I need you to come back to babysitting, Malcolm said. Ashley and I both work full-time. We can't afford professional childcare. That costs $800 or more per month. We need your help. You told me you don't need my help, I reminded him. I was wrong, Malcolm said quickly. We were all wrong. What we said at dinner, we didn't mean it. We just felt overwhelmed by your constant calls and advice. But we do need your help with practical things, like babysitting. So let me understand, I said. You don't want me involved in your life. You don't want me calling or giving advice. But you do want me to provide free childcare so you can save $800 a month. When you say it like that, it sounds bad, Malcolm said. That's because it is bad, I said. Malcolm, do you know why I was able to provide free babysitting? Because I'm retired and I have time, but my time is valuable. Professional babysitters charge $20 an hour. I was watching your kids 40 hours a month. That's $800 worth of my time that I was giving you for free, and you thought you didn't need me. I know, Malcolm said. I was an idiot. I'm sorry. Please, Mom, I can't lose my job over this. Then figure it out, I said. You're an intelligent, successful man. You sold a tech company. You make good money. Hire a babysitter. Or have Ashley cut her hours. Or work from home some days. You don't need me to solve this problem for you. But I do need you, Malcolm said, his voice breaking. Mom, I'm barely holding it together. Work is demanding. Ashley is stressed. The kids are acting out because they miss you. Our whole life is falling apart. Your whole life is falling apart after 1 week without my help, I asked. 1 week, Malcolm, and you're already struggling. Doesn't that tell you something? It tells me I was wrong, Malcolm said. It tells me I do need you. Please, Mom, I'm begging you, come back to babysitting. I'll pay you if you want. Just please help us. I looked at my son. He looked broken, desperate. Part of me wanted to give in, to help him, to make his life easier. But I'd been making their lives easier for 27 years while making my own life harder. And they'd repaid me by saying they didn't need me. No, I said. I'm sorry you're struggling, but you need to figure this out on your own. You're the one who said you're independent and self-sufficient, so be those things. For how long? Malcolm asked, his voice anguished. How long are you going to punish us? I'm not punishing you, I said, tired of repeating it. I'm teaching you a lesson. When you're ready to genuinely apologize, not just apologize because you want something from me, but genuinely acknowledge what you said was wrong and hurtful, then we can talk. But until then, you're on your own. Malcolm left with the kids. Mia and Jordan were crying because they didn't understand why they couldn't stay with Grandma. And I cried after they left, because this was hard for me too. I missed my grandchildren. I missed helping my children. But they needed to learn this lesson. Sunday was the hardest day. Sunday had always been family dinner day. For years, all my children would come over and we'd have a big meal together. It was our tradition. But this Sunday, my house was empty, silent. I cooked a small meal for myself and ate alone at my dining table. The table that usually sat 6 people now had just 1 person at it, me. I looked around at the empty chairs and felt a wave of sadness. Was this what my life was going to be like now? Alone. But then I reminded myself why I was doing this. My children had taken me for granted. They'd dismissed me. They'd hurt me. And they needed to understand what they'd lost. Around 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a group text from Simone. I know you're mad at us, but I really miss Sunday dinners. Can we please have just one dinner to talk things through? I stared at the text. Then Malcolm chimed in. I miss Sunday dinners too. Please, Mom, let's talk. Then Natasha. We obviously hurt you. We want to make things right. Can we please come over and talk? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say yes, to have my children back at my table, to have my family together again. but I knew if I caved now, they wouldn't really learn anything. They'd apologize superficially, things would go back to normal, and they'd continue taking me for granted. So I typed a response. I appreciate that you want to talk, but I'm not ready yet. You all made it very clear that you're independent adults who don't need me. So I'm giving you space to be those independent adults. When I'm ready to resume family dinners, I'll let you know. I hit send and turned off my phone. And I spent the rest of Sunday alone, wondering if I was being too harsh. Monday morning, I received an unexpected call from Malcolm's wife, Ashley. She asked if she could come over to talk, just the two of us. Of course, I said. Ashley arrived an hour later, looking exhausted. She had dark circles under her eyes, and her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Diana, I need to talk to you about what's happening, Ashley said once we sat down. Okay, I said cautiously. Malcolm told me everything about the Sunday dinner, Ashley began. About what the kids said to you, and honestly, Diana, I was shocked. I had no idea they were planning to say those things. Really? I asked. Really? Ashley confirmed. Malcolm came home from that dinner and told me what happened. He made it sound like you'd overreacted to a simple conversation. But over this past week, watching him struggle without your help, I started asking more questions. And I realized, Diana, did you know they'd been planning that conversation for weeks? What? I asked, shocked. Natasha, Malcolm, and Simone had been texting each other for weeks, Ashley explained. Planning what they were going to say to you. They felt like you were too involved in their lives and they wanted to set boundaries. But Diana, the way they did it was cruel. I had no idea they'd been planning it, I said quietly. And there's more, Ashley continued. Do you know why they really wanted to have that conversation? Because they think I'm too controlling, I guessed. Partially, Ashley said. But the real reason, Natasha is buying a new car, a luxury car. It costs $60,000. She wanted to buy it without you questioning her spending decisions. I felt like I'd been slapped. She's buying a $60,000 car while she can't even pay her mortgage on time. Exactly, Ashley said. And Malcolm wanted to take a vacation, an expensive vacation to Hawaii for our family. It costs $8,000. He knew if he told you about it, you'd tell him it was irresponsible to spend that much on a vacation when we should be saving for the kids' college funds. He's right, I would have, I admitted. And Simone just bought a designer handbag that cost $3,000, Ashley continued. She posted about it on Instagram. When I asked Malcolm about it, he said Simone didn't want you judging her spending anymore. I sat back, processing this information. My children hadn't set boundaries because I was too controlling. They'd set boundaries because they wanted to make irresponsible financial decisions without me calling them out on it. I'm sorry, Ashley, I said. I had no idea. I'm sorry too, Ashley said. Diana, I just want you to know I don't agree with what Malcolm did. You've been an amazing mother and grandmother. This week without your help has been hell. Malcolm is stressed, the kids are missing you, and I'm exhausted trying to figure out childcare and keep everything together. We need you. But does Malcolm appreciate me? I asked. Or does he just need the free babysitting? Ashley was quiet for a moment. I think right now he needs the babysitting, but I also think this week has opened his eyes to how much you actually do for us. He's starting to realize he didn't achieve everything on his own like he thought. You've been supporting him, supporting all of us, in ways he didn't even recognize. I'm glad he's realizing that, I said. But Ashley, I'm not coming back to babysitting just because he needs it. I'm not going to let my children use me. I understand. Ashley said, and honestly, I think you're doing the right thing. They need to learn this lesson. But Diana, I also need you to know, I still want you in our lives. I still want the kids to have a relationship with their grandmother. Can you maybe see them without it being about babysitting? Can I bring them over just to visit? Of course, I said, softening. Ashley, you and the kids are always welcome here. This isn't about punishing my grandchildren. It's about teaching my adult children a lesson. Thank you, Ashley said, tears in her eyes. Can I bring them over this afternoon? They've been asking about you every day." "I'd love that," I said. That afternoon, Ashley brought Mia and Jordan over. We spent 2 hours playing games, reading books, and just enjoying each other's company. It was wonderful to see my grandchildren again. But when Ashley asked if I'd watch them Thursday while she and Malcolm both had to work, I said no. "Ashley, I love those kids," I explained. "But if I start babysitting again before Malcolm genuinely apologizes and changes his behavior, then I'm just enabling him to continue taking me for granted. I'm sorry. I know it makes your life harder, but this is about teaching Malcolm a lesson." Ashley nodded sadly. "I understand. We'll figure something out." After they left, I felt conflicted. I'd loved seeing my grandchildren, but saying no to helping Ashley had been hard. Still, I was committed to my decision. My children needed to learn they couldn't dismiss me and then expect me to keep helping them whenever it was convenient. Tuesday evening, Natasha showed up at my house unannounced. She looked angry. "Mom, we need to talk," Natasha said, pushing past me into the house. "Hello to you too," I said, closing the door. "The bank is refusing to remove you as cosigner on my mortgage," Natasha said. "They said the only way to remove a cosigner is to refinance the entire loan. And to refinance, I'd need to qualify on my own, which I don't. My debt-to-income ratio is too high." "Then I guess I'm stuck as your cosigner," I said. "This is your fault," Natasha said, her voice rising. "If you hadn't made such a big deal about removing yourself from my mortgage, I wouldn't have even thought about it. Now I'm stressed about my finances and I can't focus on work." "My fault," I repeated. "Natasha, you're 32 years old, you're a lawyer. You make excellent money. If your debt-to-income ratio is too high to qualify for a mortgage on your own, that's not my fault. That's your fault for overspending." "I don't overspend," Natasha said defensively. "Really?" I asked. "Because Ashley told me you're buying a $60,000 car. Is that true?" Natasha's face flushed. "How do you know about that?" "Is it true?" I pressed. "I'm allowed to buy a nice car," Natasha said. "I work hard. I deserve nice things." "You deserve nice things that you can afford," I said. "But Natasha, if you can't qualify for a mortgage without a cosigner, and you're late on your mortgage payment, and your debt-to-income ratio is too high, you can't afford a $60,000 car." "That's exactly what I'm talking about," Natasha said angrily. "This is why we had that conversation with you, because you're always judging our decisions. You're always telling us what we can and can't afford. We're adults. We can make our own decisions." "You're right," I said calmly. "You can make your own decisions. But Natasha, making your own decisions means living with the consequences of those decisions. You want to buy a $60,000 car you can't afford. Fine. But don't expect me to bail you out when you can't make your mortgage payment. Don't expect me to co-sign your loans. Don't expect me to help you when your irresponsible spending gets you into trouble." "I'm not irresponsible," Natasha protested. "You're a month late on your mortgage," I pointed out. "That's the definition of irresponsible." "I had unexpected expenses," Natasha argued. "Life is full of unexpected expenses," I said. "That's why you're supposed to have savings. But you don't have savings because you spend every dollar you make, and then some, on things you don't need." "How do you know I don't have savings?" Natasha asked. "Because if you had savings, you wouldn't be late on your mortgage payment," I said simply. Natasha stared at me for a long moment. Then her face crumpled and she started crying. "I don't know what I'm doing, Mom," Natasha admitted through tears. "I make good money, but it's never enough. I have so many bills, and I do want nice things. I work hard. I should be able to enjoy my success." "You should," I agreed, my voice softening slightly. "But Natasha, you can't enjoy success you haven't actually achieved. You're living like you make $200,000 a year, but you don't. You need to live within your means." "I don't know how to do that," Natasha said quietly. "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you told me you didn't need me," I said. "Because Natasha, this is one of the things I help you with. I help you think through big financial decisions. I point out when you're being irresponsible. I help you budget and plan. but you told me to stop managing your life. So now you have to manage it yourself. I can't do this alone, Natasha whispered. Then you shouldn't have told me you could, I said. Natasha left my house still crying, and I felt terrible, but I also felt frustrated. My children had pushed me away, and now they were discovering they actually did need me, but they weren't really sorry for what they'd said. They were just sorry they were facing consequences. Wednesday afternoon, Simone called me. Her voice sounded strange, shaky and scared. Mom, can I come over? Simone asked. I need to talk to you about something important. Of course, I said. An hour later, Simone was sitting on my couch, wringing her hands nervously. What's wrong? I asked, worried despite everything. I'm being evicted from my apartment, Simone said quietly. What? I asked, shocked. Why? I'm 3 months behind on rent, Simone admitted. I couldn't afford it. My rent went up $200 a month this year. And then when you kicked me off your phone plan and your streaming services, that was another $100 a month. And I had to pay an accountant to do my taxes, which was another $400. And I bought that handbag. The $3,000 handbag, I interrupted. Simone looked surprised. How did you know about that? Doesn't matter, I said. Keep going. I bought the handbag because I thought I could afford it, Simone continued. But then all these other expenses came up, and suddenly I was short on rent. I've been trying to catch up, but I can't. My landlord just gave me an eviction notice. I have 30 days to either pay what I owe or move out. How much do you owe? I asked. $4,500, Simone said. 3 months of rent at $1,500 per month. And you want me to give you the money, I guessed. I need you to, Simone said desperately. Mom, I'm going to be homeless. I don't have anywhere else to go. What about the $3,000 handbag? I asked. Can you return it? No, Simone said. I already used it. I can't return used items. Then sell it, I suggested. I can't sell it for what I paid, Simone protested. I'd be lucky to get $1,500 for it used. Then you'll get $1,500, I said. That's a third of what you need. What about the other $3,000? Simone asked. That's your problem to figure out, I said. Mom, please, Simone begged. I know we hurt you, I know we were wrong, but I'm your daughter, you can't let me be homeless. I'm not letting you be homeless, I said. You're letting yourself be homeless by making irresponsible financial decisions. Simone, you bought a $3,000 handbag when you were already behind on rent. That's not my fault. That's yours. I made a mistake, Simone said, crying now. Please don't punish me for one mistake. This isn't about punishment, I said, though my resolve was wavering seeing my daughter cry. This is about consequences. You told me you don't need me. You told me you're a self-sufficient adult, so handle this like a self-sufficient adult. Sell the handbag, pick up extra hours at work, get a roommate to split rent, figure it out. I can't believe you're doing this, Simone said. What kind of mother lets her daughter get evicted? The kind of mother whose daughter told her she wasn't needed anymore, I said quietly. Simone left, and I immediately started second-guessing myself. Was I being too harsh? Should I help her? But then I remembered what Ashley had told me. My children had planned that conversation. They deliberately hurt me so they could make irresponsible decisions without my input. Simone had bought a $3,000 handbag while behind on rent. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. A bad choice that she now had to deal with. I wasn't going to bail her out. Thursday evening, I received a group text from all 3 of my children. Mom, this has gone far enough. We get it, we hurt you and we're sorry. But you're taking this too far. We're your children. You can't just cut us off completely. We need to meet and work this out. Please come to Natasha's house Saturday at noon. We all need to talk. No more avoiding this. I stared at the text for a long time. They wanted to meet, to work this out. But their apology didn't sound genuine. It sounded like they were sorry they were facing consequences, not sorry for what they'd said. Still, maybe this was an opportunity. Maybe if we sat down face to face, we could actually communicate. I texted back, I'll be there. Saturday at noon, at Natasha's house, a family meeting. I had no idea what they were going to say, but I had a feeling this conversation was going to change everything. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Saturday morning, I woke up nervous. Today was the family meeting at Natasha's house. Today, my 3 children and I would finally sit down and have the conversation we should have had weeks ago. I got dressed carefully, not too casual, not too formal. I wanted to look put together, strong, not like a mother who'd been crying herself to sleep worrying about whether she was doing the right thing. At 11:45 a.m., I drove to Natasha's house, the house I'd co-signed the mortgage for, the house she was struggling to pay for while buying a $60,000 car. When I knocked on the door, Malcolm answered. He looked tired. "Hi, Mom," Malcolm said. "Thanks for coming. Everyone's in the living room." I followed him inside. Natasha and Simone were sitting on the couch. Malcolm sat in an armchair. They all looked at me with serious expressions. I took the remaining armchair, facing all 3 of them. "So," I said, "you wanted to talk." Natasha, always the lawyer, took charge. "Mom, we owe you an apology. What we said at that dinner was hurtful and wrong. We didn't mean to imply that we don't value you or appreciate everything you've done for us." "Okay," I said, waiting for more. "We were just trying to set boundaries," Malcolm added. "We felt like sometimes you were too involved in our lives, but we went about it the wrong way." "We shouldn't have said we don't need you," Simone said. "That was harsh. We do need you. This past month has been really hard without your help." I looked at my 3 children. They seemed sincere, but something felt off about this apology. "Thank you for apologizing," I said, "but I have some questions. First, is this apology because you genuinely realize you hurt me, or is it because you're facing consequences and you want my help again?" The 3 of them exchanged glances. "It's both," Natasha admitted. "Yes, we realize we hurt you, but also yes, we're struggling without your help. Is that so wrong? Can't we be sorry for hurting you and also need your help?" "You can," I said, "but before we move forward, I need to understand something. Ashley told me that you 3 had been planning that conversation for weeks, that you'd been texting each other, planning what you were going to say to me. Is that true?" Another exchange of glances. Malcolm spoke. "We had talked about it, yes. We'd all been feeling like you were too involved in our lives, so yes, we discussed how to approach the conversation with you." "And did any of you, during those weeks of planning, stop to think about how your words might hurt me?" I asked. Silence. "Did any of you think about how I might feel being told by all 3 of my children at once that I'm not needed?" I continued. "Did you consider that might be painful for the woman who raised you alone, who worked 3 jobs to put you through school, who sacrificed everything for you?" "Mom, we didn't mean," Simone started. "Let me finish," I interrupted. "I also learned some interesting things over the past few weeks. Natasha, I learned you wanted to buy a $60,000 car without me judging your spending. Malcolm, I learned you wanted to take an $8,000 vacation without me questioning whether that's financially responsible. Simone, I learned you bought a $3,000 handbag while you were behind on rent." All 3 of them looked uncomfortable. "So here's what I think really happened," I said. "I don't think you set boundaries because I was too controlling. I think you set boundaries because you wanted to make irresponsible financial decisions without me calling you out on them. You wanted my help when it was convenient, free babysitting, free tax preparation, free phone plan, but you didn't want my input on your bad decisions." "That's not fair," Natasha protested. "Isn't it?" I asked. "Natasha, you're buying a $60,000 car while you can't pay your mortgage on time. That's not responsible. Malcolm, you're planning an $8,000 vacation while you can't afford childcare without my help. That's not responsible. Simone, you bought a $3,000 handbag while you were 3 months behind on rent. That's not responsible. And you all knew I'd tell you that, so you pushed me away." "We're adults," Malcolm said. "We're allowed to make our own financial decisions." You absolutely are, I agreed. But adults also face consequences for their decisions. You can't make bad decisions and then expect someone else to bail you out. That's not how adulthood works. So what do you want from us? Natasha asked. What do we need to do to make this right? I want genuine change, I said. Not just apologies, not just promising to do better. Actual demonstrated change in how you treat me and how you handle your lives. What does that mean? Simone asked. I pulled out a piece of paper I'd prepared. I'd spent the past few days thinking about what I really needed from my children, and I'd written it down. These are my conditions, I said. If you want me back in your lives, really in your lives, not just when you need something, then these are the changes that need to happen. I read from my list. First, financial responsibility. Natasha, you need to cancel the order for that $60,000 car and buy something you can actually afford. You need to catch up on your mortgage payments, and you need to create a budget and stick to it. I want to see 3 months of on-time mortgage payments and responsible spending before we talk about me staying on as co-signer. Natasha opened her mouth to argue, then closed it and nodded. Malcolm, you need to cancel that Hawaii vacation. Instead, you need to use that $8,000 to set up a proper childcare arrangement, hire a nanny, or enroll the kids in daycare. You need to stop relying on free family labor to make your budget work. I want to see you handle your childcare needs professionally for 3 months before we discuss me doing any babysitting. Malcolm looked pained but nodded. Simone, you need to sell that handbag and any other luxury items you've bought recently. You need to pay your back rent. You need to get a roommate to make your rent affordable. And you need to show me 3 months of on-time rent payments and responsible budgeting. Simone was crying now, but she nodded too. Second, I continued, respect and appreciation. I want regular family dinners, but I want them to be mutual. You don't just show up to get free food and then leave. You help cook. You help clean. You actually spend time with me, not just your phones. And at least once a month, one of you hosts dinner at your place. I'm tired of being the only one making an effort. We can do that, Natasha said. Third, boundaries go both ways. If you want me to respect your boundaries and not be too involved in your lives, then you need to respect mine. That means no more last-minute requests for help. No more assuming I'm available whenever you need something. You ask in advance, and you accept when I say no. Okay, Malcolm agreed. Fourth, acknowledgement. I want you to genuinely acknowledge everything I've done for you, not just a quick thanks, Mom. I want you to really think about the sacrifices I made. The $185,000 I've given you over the years, the 3 jobs I worked, the retirement I don't have because I spent it on you, the connections I used to help you get jobs, all of it. And I want you to acknowledge that you didn't achieve everything on your own. You had help, my help. The room was silent. Finally, Natasha spoke. You're right, Mom. We didn't do it on our own. We had your help, a lot of help, more help than we realized or appreciated. And we're sorry, Malcolm added. We're really, genuinely sorry for taking you for granted. I'm sorry too, Simone said through tears. I've been so stupid with money, and I've been so ungrateful. You've given me everything and I've just wasted it. I felt my own eyes filling with tears. This felt real. This felt genuine. There's one more thing, I said. I need time. I can't just flip a switch and go back to how things were. You hurt me, badly. And I need time to heal from that. So even if you do all these things, even if you show me 3 months of responsible behavior, I'm still going to be cautious. I'm still going to have boundaries, because I need to protect myself from being hurt like this again. We understand, Natasha said. Mom, we really do understand, and we're going to prove to you that we've changed. I hope so, I said, because I love you 3 more than anything in the world, but I won't let you treat me like I don't matter, not anymore. The week after our family meeting, I started seeing small changes. Natasha called me and told me she'd canceled the order for the $60,000 car. I'm going to buy a used car for $25,000 instead, she said. It's still nice, but it's affordable, and I made my mortgage payment on time this month. I also met with a financial advisor to help me create a budget. I'm proud of you, I told her, and I meant it. Malcolm called to tell me he'd enrolled Mia and Jordan in a daycare program. It costs $700 a month, he said. But Ashley and I looked at our budget, and we can afford it if we cut some other expenses. We're canceling some subscriptions and eating out less. And we're not going to Hawaii. We're going to take the kids camping instead, much cheaper and probably more fun for them anyway. That sounds wonderful, I said. Simone came over in person. She had a check for me. What's this? I asked. It's $2,000, Simone said. I sold the handbag for $1,500, and I picked up extra freelance work and made another $500. I'm using this to pay part of my back rent. I need to come up with another $2,500, but I'm working on it. I also found a roommate, my coworker Jasmine. She's moving in next month. That will cut my rent in half going forward. Simone, I'm so proud of you, I said, hugging her. I'm sorry I was so stupid, Simone said. I spent $3,000 on a handbag when I was behind on rent. What was I thinking? You were thinking like someone who didn't understand consequences, I said gently. But you're learning now. That's what matters. 1 month after our confrontation, we had our first family dinner since everything had fallen apart. But this time, it was at Malcolm and Ashley's house. Ashley had cooked with Malcolm's help, he told me proudly. The table was set nicely. Mia and Jordan were excited to see Grandma. We sat down to eat, and for the first time in months it felt normal, good even. Mom, we wanted to show you something, Natasha said after dinner. She pulled out a folder. We've been working on this together. She opened the folder. Inside were 3 handwritten letters, one from each of my children. We each wrote you a letter, Malcolm explained, acknowledging everything you've done for us. Everything we took for granted. We wanted you to have it in writing so you could keep it and read it whenever you need a reminder that we appreciate you. I opened Natasha's letter first. It was 2 pages long, detailing every sacrifice I'd made for her. The money for college and law school, the co-signed mortgage, the connections I'd made for her, the advice I'd given, everything. Thank you for never giving up on me, Natasha's letter concluded. Even when I told you I didn't need you, you loved me enough to let me learn the hard way. I needed that lesson, and I'm grateful you cared enough to teach it to me. Malcolm's letter was similar, 2 pages of acknowledgement and gratitude. He wrote about the money for his startups, the clients I'd connected him with, the babysitting I'd provided, all of it. You were right, Mom, Malcolm's letter said. I didn't achieve success on my own. I had your support every step of the way, and I'm sorry I didn't see that before. I see it now, and I won't take it for granted again. Simone's letter made me cry. She wrote about being the youngest, about how I'd always been there for her, about the wedding money, about all the times I'd helped her even when she didn't deserve it. I wasted so much of what you gave me, Simone wrote, but I'm not going to waste any more. I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to be the daughter you deserve. Thank you for not giving up on me when I was being stupid and ungrateful. I love you, Mom. By the time I finished reading all 3 letters, I was crying openly. My children were crying too. Thank you, I said. These letters mean everything to me. We mean every word, Natasha said. 3 months after our confrontation, my children had proven they'd really changed. Natasha had made 3 months of on-time mortgage payments. She'd stuck to her budget. She'd bought a sensible used car. She'd even started paying me back $200 a month toward the $110,000 I'd given her over the years. I know it'll take forever to pay it all back, she'd said, but I want to try. Malcolm and Ashley had successfully managed childcare for 3 months without my help. Malcolm's work performance had improved. He'd gotten a raise, and he'd asked if I'd like to babysit sometimes, not as a necessity, but just to spend time with my grandchildren. I'd said yes, because now it was a choice, not an obligation. Simone had paid off her back rent. She was living with her roommate and managing her budget responsibly. She'd been on time with rent for 3 months straight. She'd even started a small emergency savings fund. It's only $500 so far, she'd said, but it's $500 more than I had before. We'd had weekly family dinners, rotating houses. Everyone helped cook and clean. Everyone stayed and actually talked, not just ate and left. My children called me to chat, not just when they needed something. They asked about my life, my interests, and my feelings. They'd changed, really genuinely changed. And our relationship was better than it had ever been. 6 months after the confrontation, Natasha invited me over for coffee. Just the two of us. "Mom, I wanted to thank you," Natasha said once we sat down. "For what?" I asked. "For cutting us off," Natasha said. "I know that sounds weird, but Mom, we needed that. I needed that. I was so entitled. I thought I'd earned everything myself. I thought I was so successful and independent. But the truth is, I was a mess. I couldn't even pay my mortgage on time. I was buying things I couldn't afford. I was living beyond my means and relying on you to bail me out whenever things got hard." "I'm glad you see that now," I said. "When you cut us off, I was so angry at first," Natasha continued. "I thought you were being petty and vindictive, but then I started actually looking at my finances, really looking at them, and I realized how bad things were. If you'd kept helping me, I would have kept making the same mistakes. I might have lost my house. I might have ruined my credit. But because you forced me to face the consequences of my choices, I had to change." "That's why I did it," I said. "Not to punish you, but to teach you." "I know that now," Natasha said. "And Mom, I'm a better person for it. I'm more responsible, more grateful, more aware of my privilege. I appreciate you in a way I never did before." "I appreciate that," I said. "There's something else," Natasha said. "Malcolm, Simone, and I have been talking. We know you've given us almost $200,000 over the years. Money you didn't have to give. Money you took out loans to give us. Money that cost you your retirement savings." "You don't have to pay me back," I said. "I gave you that money because I'm your mother and I love you." "We know," Natasha said. "But we want to pay you back anyway, all three of us. We've worked out a plan. Between the three of us, we're going to give you $1,000 a month, $200 from me, $400 from Malcolm since he makes the most, and $400 from Simone once she's more financially stable. Right now, she can only do $100, but the rest will come from Malcolm and me. At that rate, it'll take us about 16 years to pay you back everything. But Mom, we want to do it. We want to give back what you gave us." I was stunned. "You three don't have to do that." "We want to," Natasha insisted. "Mom, you gave us everything. You sacrificed your own financial security for us. The least we can do is try to restore what you lost." I started crying. That's the most generous thing anyone has ever offered me. "It's not generous," Natasha said. "It's the bare minimum of what we owe you, not just financially, but morally." 1 year after my children told me they didn't need me anymore, I was sitting on my porch on a Sunday afternoon, thinking about everything that had happened. A year ago, my children had broken my heart by saying they were independent and self-sufficient and didn't need me the way they used to. In response, I'd cut them off from all my help, and they'd struggled, hard. But through that struggle, they'd learned. They'd grown. They'd become actually independent and self-sufficient, not just in theory, but in practice. And our relationship had transformed. We were closer now than we'd ever been, not because I did everything for them, but because we had mutual respect. They appreciated me. They valued me. They didn't take me for granted anymore. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Malcolm. "Family dinner at our place next Sunday. The kids want to make you something special." I smiled and texted back. "I'd love that." Another text, this time from Simone. "Mom, I just got promoted at work. Can I take you to dinner to celebrate? My treat." And then Natasha. "Hi, Mom, just wanted to say I love you. No reason, just wanted you to know." I sat on my porch reading those texts and I felt happy, genuinely happy. A year ago, I'd been heartbroken. I'd felt unappreciated and dismissed. But by letting my children face the consequences of their words and their actions, I'd given them the greatest gift I could give them. The opportunity to grow into truly independent, responsible adults who appreciated what they had. They'd told me they didn't need me anymore. And I'd let them learn the hard way that they were wrong. But in the process, they'd also learned something else. They'd learned that they did need me, not to solve all their problems or subsidize their irresponsible choices, but to be their mother, to love them, to support them, to give them advice when they asked for it, to be part of their lives in a healthy, balanced way. And I'd learned something too. I'd learned that loving my children didn't mean sacrificing everything for them. It didn't mean accepting being taken for granted. It didn't mean enabling their bad decisions. Sometimes, the most loving thing a parent can do is let their children fail. Let them struggle. Let them learn the hard way. Because that's how they grow. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a group text from all three of my kids. "Mom, we're planning something special for your birthday next month. Don't make any plans for that Saturday. We're taking you somewhere to celebrate the most amazing mother in the world. We love you more than you know." I smiled through happy tears. A year ago, they'd told me they didn't need me. Today, they told me I was amazing. And that transformation, from entitlement to gratitude, from thoughtlessness to appreciation, made every hard moment of the past year worth it. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. 1 year and 3 months after my children told me they didn't need me anymore, something happened that made me realize just how much they'd truly changed. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was at the grocery store when my phone rang. It was Simone. "Mom, where are you?" Simone asked. Her voice sounded strange, excited and nervous at the same time. "I'm at the grocery store," I said. "Why, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," Simone said. "But can you come to my apartment as soon as you're done shopping? All of us are here. We need to talk to you about something." My heart jumped. All of us meant all three of my children were at Simone's apartment, together, waiting for me. "Is everything okay?" I asked, worried. "Everything's fine," Simone assured me. "Just come as soon as you can, it's important." I rushed through the rest of my shopping, my mind racing with possibilities. What could they all be doing at Simone's apartment? What did they need to talk to me about? 30 minutes later, I pulled up to Simone's apartment building. I climbed the stairs to her second-floor apartment and knocked on the door. Malcolm answered. He was smiling. "Hi, Mom," Malcolm said. "Come in, we've been waiting for you." I walked into Simone's small living room. All three of my children were there, Natasha sitting on the couch, Simone in the armchair, Malcolm standing by the window. They were all looking at me with expressions I couldn't quite read. "What's going on?" I asked. "You're making me nervous." "Sit down, Mom," Natasha said, gesturing to the couch beside her. I sat down, my heart pounding. "Someone please tell me what this is about." The three of them exchanged glances. Then Simone spoke. "Mom, it's been 15 months since that dinner where we told you we didn't need you anymore," Simone began. 15 months since you cut us off and taught us the hardest lesson of our lives. We've spent the past year working on ourselves," Malcolm continued. "Being responsible, being grateful, trying to prove to you that we've changed." "And we have changed," Natasha added. "We're not the same selfish, entitled people we were 15 months ago. We're better, because of you." "I'm glad," I said, still not understanding where this was going. "But why did you call me here?" "Because we wanted to do something for you," Simone said. "Something big, something to show you how much we appreciate everything you've sacrificed for us." Natasha pulled out an envelope from her purse. "Mom, for the past year, Malcolm, Simone, and I have been paying you back $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 so far toward the nearly $200,000 you've given us over the years." "I know," I said, "and I appreciate it more than you know." "But we realized something," Malcolm said. "At $1,000 a month, it's going to take us almost 17 years to pay you back everything. You'll be 72 years old by the time we finish. That's not acceptable." "You three don't owe me," I started. "Yes, we do," Natasha interrupted firmly. "Mom, you spent your entire adult life sacrificing for us. You have no retirement savings because you spent them on us. You're 56 years old and you're still working part-time at the library because you can't afford to fully retire. That's because of us, because of the money you gave us. We want to fix that, Simone said. Natasha handed me the envelope. Open it. With shaking hands, I opened the envelope. Inside was a check made out to me for $50,000. I stared at it, unable to process what I was seeing. What is this? That's $50,000 toward paying you back, Malcolm explained. We each contributed. I put in $25,000 from my savings. Natasha put in $15,000. Simone put in $10,000, everything she's saved over the past year. Combined with the $12,000 we've already paid you over the past 12 months, that's $62,000 total, Natasha said. We're about a third of the way to paying you back everything. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Tears were streaming down my face. We're not stopping there, Malcolm continued. We're going to keep paying you $1,000 a month. At this rate, plus this large payment, we'll have you fully paid back in about 10 more years. You'll be 66 instead of 72. And Mom, Simone added, we want you to use this money to retire, fully retire. No more part-time work at the library. You've worked 3 jobs, sometimes 4, for most of your adult life. It's time for you to rest, to enjoy your life, to do the things you never got to do because you were too busy working to support us. I was sobbing now, full, ugly crying. You 3 don't. You don't have to do this. Yes, we do, Natasha said, her own eyes wet with tears. Mom, you gave us everything. Your time, your money, your youth, your health, your dreams, everything. And we took it for granted. We thought we'd achieved our success on our own, but we didn't. We built our lives on your sacrifices. The least we can do is give you the retirement you earned but never got to have. How did you come up with this much money? I asked through tears. I got a big bonus at work, Malcolm explained. Instead of using it for a vacation or a new car or anything else, I put it toward this, because nothing is more important than paying back the woman who gave me everything. I've been saving aggressively for the past year, Natasha said. I cut my spending way down. I stopped buying things I don't need. I stuck to a strict budget, and I saved every extra penny for this. I worked overtime and picked up freelance projects on weekends, Simone said. I didn't go out. I didn't buy anything unnecessary. Every dollar went into savings. Because, Mom, you taught me that sometimes you have to sacrifice now for something important later. Well, this is important. I pulled all 3 of my children into a hug, crying so hard I could barely see. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. No, Mom, Natasha said, crying too. Thank you for everything, for never giving up on us, for teaching us this lesson even when it was hard, for loving us enough to let us fail so we could learn. Thank you. 2 weeks after my children gave me that check, I walked into the library where I'd been working part-time for the past 5 years and submitted my resignation. I'm retiring, I told my supervisor, fully retiring. Are you sure? My supervisor asked. Diana, you're only 56. That's young to retire completely. I'm sure, I said. I've been working since I was 28. That's 28 years of working, often multiple jobs at once. It's time. With the $50,000 from my children, plus the $12,000 they'd already paid me, plus my small savings, I had enough to live modestly without working. I wouldn't be wealthy, but I'd be comfortable. And most importantly, I'd be free. Free to wake up without an alarm. Free to spend my days however I wanted. Free to visit my children and grandchildren without worrying about work schedules. Free to finally live for myself instead of living for survival. The day after I submitted my resignation, all 3 of my children took me out to celebrate. To Mom's retirement, Malcolm said, raising his glass at dinner. May you finally get to enjoy the life you worked so hard to give us. To Mom, Natasha and Simone echoed. We clinked glasses, and I felt a joy I hadn't felt in decades. Pure, uncomplicated joy. 1 month into my retirement, I was starting to settle into a new routine. I woke up naturally each morning, no alarm. I had coffee on my porch, I read books. I worked in my garden, I took walks, I did yoga. Simple things, peaceful things, things I'd never had time for when I was working constantly. One Saturday morning, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find all three of my children standing there, along with Malcolm's wife Ashley and both grandchildren. "What are you all doing here?" I asked, surprised but happy to see them. "We're taking you somewhere," Natasha said mysteriously. "It's a surprise. You need to pack a bag for the weekend." "A bag? Where are we going?" "You'll see," Malcolm said with a grin. "Just trust us." An hour later, we were all driving out of the city. I still had no idea where we were going. After about 2 hours, we pulled up to a beautiful lake house. "Where are we?" I asked. "This is a vacation rental," Simone explained. "We got it for the whole weekend. We're spending the weekend together as a family. No work, no distractions, just us." "And this is your belated birthday present," Natasha added. "We know your birthday was 2 months ago, but we wanted to do something special. So we planned this whole weekend. We're going to cook together, play games, go swimming in the lake, tell stories, just enjoy each other's company." I felt tears prick my eyes again. "You planned all this for me." "For all of us," Malcolm said. "Mom, we spent so many years taking you for granted, taking your time for granted. We'd show up for Sunday dinners, eat your food, and leave. We never really spent quality time with you. This weekend is about changing that. It's about actually being present with you, appreciating you, making memories." That weekend was one of the best weekends of my life. We cooked meals together. We played board games and card games. We went swimming in the lake. The kids ran around outside while the adults sat on the porch talking. We stayed up late telling stories and laughing. On Saturday night, after the kids were in bed, my 3 adult children and I sat on the porch overlooking the lake. "Mom, can we ask you something?" Natasha said. "Of course," I said. "Do you forgive us?" Natasha asked. "For what we said that day at dinner, for how we treated you?" I thought about the question. Did I forgive them? "Yes," I said. "I do forgive you. You hurt me, badly. But you've proven over the past 15 months that you've genuinely changed. You're not the same people who said those things. You've grown. You've learned. You've shown through your actions, not just your words, that you appreciate me and value me. So yes, I forgive you." "Thank you," Simone said, wiping tears from her eyes. "But I also want to thank you," I said. "Thank us?" Malcolm asked, surprised. "For what?" "For learning the lesson," I said. "I could have taught you and you could have refused to learn. You could have stayed entitled and selfish. But you didn't. You took responsibility. You made changes. You became better people. Not everyone does that. So thank you for being willing to grow." "We didn't have a choice," Natasha said. "You made it clear that if we wanted you in our lives, we had to change. And Mom, we wanted you in our lives. Desperately. Losing you for that month was the worst thing that ever happened to us. It made us realize what we'd taken for granted." "I'm glad," I said, "because I wanted you in my life too, but I needed you to be different. I needed to be treated with respect and appreciation, and now I am. Our relationship is better than it's ever been." "It really is," Malcolm agreed. "Mom, I feel closer to you now than I ever did before, and it's because our relationship is healthier now. It's not one-sided anymore. We give and you give. It's balanced." 6 months after I retired, Simone announced she was getting engaged again. This time to a man named Aaron who she'd been dating for 8 months. He was kind, responsible, and financially stable, everything her first husband hadn't been. "I'm not making the same mistakes I made last time," Simone told me when she showed me her engagement ring. "Aaron and I have been saving money together. We've talked about our financial goals. We're not going to have a big, expensive wedding that we can't afford. We're going to have a small, simple wedding that we can pay for ourselves." "I'm proud of you," I told her. "That shows real maturity." "I learned from my mistakes," Simone said. "The first time I spent $30,000.20,000 of it, your money, on a wedding for a marriage that lasted 6 months. That was stupid. This time I'm doing it right." 2 months later, Simone and Aaron had a small backyard wedding at Malcolm's house. There were 30 guests. Simone wore a simple but beautiful dress that cost $500 instead of $3,000. They had a potluck dinner where everyone contributed a dish. They made their own decorations. The whole wedding cost less than $2,000. And it was perfect, absolutely perfect. At the reception, Simone pulled me aside. "Mom, I want to give you something," Simone said. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $20,000. "What is this?" I asked. "That's the money you gave me for my first wedding," Simone explained. "The wedding that ended in divorce 6 months later. I've been saving to pay you back. It took me 18 months, but I did it. That money is yours, Mom. I'm sorry I wasted it the first time, but I want you to have it back now." I started crying. Again. It seemed like I cried every time my children did something unexpectedly wonderful. "Simone, you don't have to." "I want to," Simone insisted. "Mom, that was your money. I wasted it on a stupid, expensive wedding for a bad marriage. You never complained. You never asked for it back. But I'm giving it back anyway, because it's the right thing to do." "Thank you," I whispered, hugging my daughter. "Thank you so much." "No, Mom," Simone said. "Thank you for teaching me the value of money, for teaching me to be responsible, for never giving up on me even when I was making terrible decisions. I'm a better person because of you." 2 years after my children told me they didn't need me anymore, we were having Sunday dinner at my house. It was the first Sunday dinner at my house since the confrontation 2 years ago. But everything was different now. My children had brought the food. They'd cooked it themselves at their own homes and brought it to mine. They set the table. They cleaned up afterward. I didn't have to do anything except enjoy being with my family. After dinner, we all sat in the living room. Mia and Jordan were playing with toys on the floor. The adults were talking and laughing. "Mom, we have something for you," Natasha said. She pulled out a folder, the same folder from a year and a half ago that had contained their handwritten letters to me. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it," Malcolm said. I opened the folder. Inside were financial documents, bank statements, payment receipts, a detailed spreadsheet. "What am I looking at?" I asked. "That's a record of every payment we've made to you over the past 2 years," Natasha explained, "including the big $50,000 payment and Simone's $20,000 wedding money payment. Altogether, we've paid you back $94,000 of the approximately $185,000 you gave us over the years." "We're more than halfway there," Malcolm said. "At our current rate, we'll have you completely paid back in about 5 more years. You'll be 61 years old." "And Mom," Simone added, "we have a plan for the money we still owe you. We're each setting aside more in savings. Malcolm got another raise. Natasha got a bonus. I got promoted. We're all making more money now, and we're going to accelerate our payments. Our goal is to have you fully paid back in 3 years, not 5. "You'll be 59, Natasha said. "Still young enough to travel and do all the things you never got to do because you were working to support us." I looked at the spreadsheet. Every payment was recorded. Every dollar was accounted for. They'd created this detailed record to show me, and themselves, their progress. "I don't even know what to say," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "You don't have to say anything," Malcolm said. "We're doing this because it's right, because you deserve it, because we love you." "We love you so much, Mom," Simone said. "And we're so sorry for ever making you feel like we didn't need you, because we do need you. We'll always need you, not to solve our problems or give us money, but to be our mother, to love us, to guide us, to be part of our lives." "That's all I ever wanted," I said through tears. "Just to be valued, to be appreciated, to be treated like I mattered." "You matter more than anything," Natasha said. "You're the most important person in our lives, and we're going to spend the rest of our lives making sure you know that." Today, as I sit here 2 years after my children told me they didn't need me anymore, I think about everything that's happened. I think about how hurt I was that day at dinner, how broken I felt, how I questioned whether I'd failed as a mother. I think about the difficult decision I made to cut them off completely, how hard that was, how I second-guessed myself constantly. I think about watching them struggle, watching them face consequences, watching them realize they weren't as independent as they thought. And I think about the transformation. The real, genuine transformation from entitled adults who took me for granted to grateful, responsible people who value me. 2 years ago, my children told me they didn't need me anymore. They were wrong. They did need me. They just didn't realize it yet. So I let them learn the hard way. And in the process, they learned not just that they needed me, but why they needed me. They learned about sacrifice, about gratitude, about consequences, about responsibility, about humility. They learned what it means to be truly independent, not just financially, but emotionally and practically. They learned to value what they have instead of taking it for granted. They learned that being an adult isn't about dismissing the people who helped you get where you are. It's about acknowledging them, appreciating them, giving back. And our relationship transformed from one-sided to mutual. From me giving everything and them taking everything to both of us giving and receiving. Today, my children call me regularly just to talk. They invite me to their homes. They include me in their lives, not because they need me to babysit or cook or give them money, but because they genuinely want me there. Today, I'm retired and comfortable, thanks to their repayment of the money I sacrificed for them. Today, my grandchildren know their grandmother and spend time with me regularly. Today, I'm happy, genuinely, deeply happy. Because 2 years ago, when my children told me they didn't need me anymore, I made the hardest decision of my life. I chose to let them learn the hard way. And that decision, that painful, difficult, heartbreaking decision, was the best thing I ever did for them and for myself. Because sometimes, the most loving thing a parent can do is step back and let their children fall. Let them fail. Let them struggle. Let them learn through consequences instead of being rescued. It's hard. It's painful. It goes against every parental instinct. But it's necessary. Because that's how children become adults. That's how entitled people become grateful people. That's how takers become givers. My children told me they didn't need me anymore. So I let them prove it. And in trying to prove it, they discovered they were wrong. They did need me. They always had. But now they need me in a healthy way. They need me as a mother, not as a crutch. They value me as a person, not just as a resource. And that's worth everything. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Natasha. "Love you, Mom. Can't wait to see you this weekend." Another text from Malcolm. "The kids are so excited for Saturday. They've been talking about Grandma all week." And one from Simone. "Just wanted to say you're the best mother in the world. Thank you for everything, especially for not giving up on us when we were being idiots." I smile and text them all back. "I love you 3 more than you'll ever know. See you Saturday." I put my phone down and look around my home. My peaceful, comfortable home. The home I can finally enjoy because I'm not working 3 jobs to support ungrateful children anymore. The home I can enjoy because my children finally learned to support themselves. The home where my family gathers not because I'm cooking and cleaning for them, but because they want to spend time with me. 2 years ago, my world fell apart when my children said they didn't need me. Today, my world is better than it's ever been. Because I let them learn the hard way. And they learned. And we all became better for it. This story proves that. Sparkle's tough love is real love when it teaches necessary lessons. Sparkle's entitlement destroys relationships. Gratitude builds them. Sparkle's, sometimes you have to let people fail to help them succeed. Sparkle's financial independence means nothing without emotional maturity. Sparkle's true appreciation comes from understanding what you took for granted. Sparkle's consequences are the best teachers. Sparkle's stepping back doesn't mean giving up. Sparkle's healthy relationships require mutual respect and effort. If this story moved you, white heavy checkmark subscribe for more powerful family transformation stories. White heavy checkmark smash that like button. White heavy checkmark turn on notifications bell. Drop a comment. Was Diana right to cut off her children? Would you have the strength to do what Diana did? Where are you watching from? United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Jamaica, South Africa, Australia, Trinidad, India, Philippines. Remember, if your adult children take you for granted, it's okay to set boundaries. You don't owe them endless sacrifice. Real love sometimes means letting people face consequences. Financial help should be appreciated, not expected. You can't teach gratitude without consequences. Independence means handling your own life, not just claiming you can. Parents deserve respect, not just when convenient. Sometimes the best gift is letting someone struggle. True family values you not just what you provide. You taught them to walk, now let them walk alone. Never apologize for expecting appreciation. Your retirement matters as much as their success. Tough love builds character, enabling destroys it. Sparkle's crown. Thank you for following Diana's journey from heartbreak to triumph.